Stephen A. Derrick Rose, as we move on to the next series against the Miami Heat, it seems like they're starting, speaking of Heat, it's starting to build a little bit incrementally about whether he should come back, especially now they're still playing and they're so banged up. What's your take on it, and what do you see coming in this next week?
Well, number one, I think he's incredibly conflicted. I think a part of him obviously desperately wants to play because no player wants to sit on the bench. There's no doubt about that. But the flip side to it is the fact that he doesn't believe he's mentally ready. And the conflict exists because, number one, nobody wants to hear that once you've been cleared by doctors. They certainly don't want to hear that when your own brother is quoted as questioning the talent level on this team, and then the team goes out and wins 45 games without the superstar. And then after that, to watch them perform the way they performed against the Brooklyn Nets, to be shorthanded without a guy in Luol Deng that's exceptional for them on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. Plus, he led the league in minutes played, averaging over 39 minutes per game. You're without him. You're without Kirk Heinrich, who was playing exceptional defense on Darren Williams all series long before he ultimately went down with his calf injury. If you got that kind of situation where those guys are not available and you still go out there shorthanded, even with the Joakim Noah playing with plantar fasciitis, and he goes, and what does he do? 24 points, 14 rebounds, 6 blocks. Nobody wants to hear that Derrick Rose can't go. We understand it, people like myself and others, but if you're a Chicago Bulls fan and you're the city of Chicago, that is simply not an excuse you want to hear when you know what this guy can do, when you know what he can deliver, when you know he's still getting paid in the midst of a $90 million contract, and he's been cleared by doctors to go physically, and on top of it all, guys who are questionable in terms of what they can deliver physically are going out there on the floor and performing without you. You simply don't want to hear that. So the momentum is definitely going to build, calling for him to play. That's just the way it's going to be.
The Bulls match up well against the Heat. Noah is someone who can really work his way through the lane well against Miami Boozers, also gives them some depth. If Rose can come back, do they have a shot? Would it be a shot in the arm, or could they at least extend this thing and maybe make something happen later in the series?
The best way to answer that is if Derrick Rose was Derrick Rose, 100% healthy, playing the way that he played before the injury, a legitimate argument could be made they could beat the Miami Heat and represent the East in the NBA Finals. But even if he were to come back, because he has not played all year, it's sort of an injustice to him. Like Magic Johnson has said repeatedly in calling for the kid not to come back. He's saying, you've been out all year. If you don't feel comfortable, you don't do it. You understand both sides of that thinking, but there is no denying the fact that to some degree he would disrupt chemistry because they've had to play the entire season without him. To ask this kid to come back now for the first time all year long, and your opponent is going to be the reigning, defending world champion, that's a real tall order, and to some degree that's unfair. But if you're the city of Chicago, if you're a Chicago Bulls fan, you ain't trying to hear that. You don't have any sympathy. You're telling him to get his butt out there and play because we've got a championship to pursue.